If you want to end family fights, you can't just rely on patience. Patience runs out. Teeth get clenched. Words slip. Resentment quietly builds. And before you know it, the people you love most have become the ones who drain you the most. Family drama doesn't feel like a normal conflict. It feels personal. It cuts deeper than arguments at work or stress from the outside world. You can walk away from strangers. You can mute colleagues. But family? They're always there. At the dinner table, in your phone, in your memories. And that's why family conflict hurts more than almost anything else. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Family fights are inevitable. They are not a sign that your family is broken. They are a sign that human beings with different values, wounds, egos, and fears are sharing the same emotional space. What makes these conflicts unbearable is not the disagreement itself, but how powerless you feel inside it. You try to explain. They don't listen. You try to stay calm. They provoke you. You try to keep the peace. You end up losing your cool. And afterward, you replay the conversation again and again, wishing you had handled it differently. Nearly 2,000 years ago, a man who ruled the most powerful empire on earth faced something very similar. Not Sunday dinners, but constant opposition, betrayal, criticism, ingratitude. Marcus Aurelius wasn't a motivational speaker or a distant philosopher locked in a library. He was a human being under pressure, surrounded by difficult people, writing reminders to himself just to stay balanced. His private journal, never meant for the public, became one of the greatest guides to emotional control ever written. And hidden inside it is what I call the Marcus Aurelius Method, a way to handle conflict that doesn't require you to win arguments, change others, or crush your emotions, but instead gives you something far more powerful: inner sovereignty. Marcus wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That single line contains the foundation of Stoicism and the key to conflict resolution in family drama. You don't end fights by forcing harmony. You end them by mastering your response. Modern psychology now confirms what Stoics understood naturally. Neuroscience shows that when we perceive a personal threat, criticism from a parent, disrespect from a sibling, judgment from a relative, our brain hijacks. Fight or flight kicks in. Logic shuts down. Emotional control disappears. You're no longer responding to the present moment. You're reacting to years of stored emotional memory. That's why the smallest comment can trigger an outsized reaction. Your brain thinks it's defending your identity. Stoicism doesn't ask you to pretend this doesn't happen. It asks you to prepare for it. Marcus practiced what the Stoics called negative visualization, imagining difficulties before they happen. Not to become negative, but to become unshakable. Applied to family dynamics, this means you stop walking into conversations hoping everyone will behave well. You expect friction. You expect misunderstanding. You expect buttons to be pushed. And because you expect it, it loses its power over you. Before a family gathering, instead of thinking, "I hope no one starts anything," you quietly tell yourself, "Someone may criticize me. Someone may give advice. Someone may try to provoke a reaction." This simple mental rehearsal changes everything. When the moment comes, your nervous system doesn't panic. You're not surprised, you're prepared. Psychology calls this preparatory coping. Stoicism mastered it centuries ago. Another core idea of the Marcus Aurelius Method is acceptance, not passive acceptance, but clear-eyed realism. You cannot control other people's opinions, tone, or emotional maturity. You can only control how you interpret and respond to them. Seneca put it bluntly, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Most family drama continues not because of what was said, but because of the story you attach to it. They don't respect me. They never listen. They're always like this. These interpretations inflame the situation far more than the words themselves. Modern cognitive behavioral therapy is built on the same insight. Events don't cause emotional distress, interpretations do. When you change the interpretation, you change the emotional outcome. The Stoics called this rational appraisal. You strip the situation down to facts. Someone spoke words. Sound waves hit your ears. Meaning was assigned. Emotion followed. The meaning is optional. This is where the idea of the inner stronghold comes in. Marcus described the mind as a fortress that cannot be breached unless you open the gates. Family members can shout outside the walls. They can knock. They can insult the guards. But only you decide whether to let the chaos inside. Emotional detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means you refuse to outsource your peace. Imagine a heated family argument like a storm. Most people run into the storm and get soaked. Stoicism teaches you to step back and observe it. You say internally, this is anger. This is insecurity. This is fear speaking. Neuroscience calls this affect labeling. When you name an emotion, activity in the prefrontal cortex increases, calming the emotional centers of the brain. Marcus Aurelius didn't have brain scans, but he practiced the same skill by constantly reminding himself, it is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Let's make this practical. Suppose a family member gives advice about your life choices, your career, your finances, your relationships. The automatic reaction is defensiveness. You feel attacked. Your identity feels threatened. The Marcus Aurelius Method asks you to pause and apply rational detachment. Is this person trying to harm you, or are they expressing their own anxiety, values, or need for control? Often, what feels like an attack is actually a projection. Now apply the view from above, another Stoic exercise. Imagine zooming out. See yourself, your family, your house, your city, the planet. In that vast perspective, this comment becomes very small. Psychology shows that self-distancing reduces emotional reactivity and increases wisdom in conflict resolution. What feels enormous up close often shrinks when viewed from a broader lens. This doesn't mean you tolerate bad behavior. Stoicism is not submission, it's clarity. You can set boundaries without aggression. You can say less instead of saying more. You can choose silence without feeling defeated. Marcus wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In family drama, escalation feels justified, but restraint is power. Here are practical ways to apply this in real life. First, slow your response. When provoked, give yourself a physical pause. Take one breath longer than feels natural. This interrupts the stress response and gives your rational mind time to re-engage. Emotional control begins in the body. Second, reduce your words. Family fights grow through excess explanation. You try to convince. You defend. You justify. Stoicism favors simplicity. Short, calm responses deprive drama of fuel. Silence, when chosen consciously, is not weakness, it's strategy. Third, separate intent from impact. You can acknowledge how something affects you without assuming malicious intent. I hear you is not the same as I agree with you. This distinction alone can end many arguments before they escalate. Fourth, choose your battles. Marcus constantly reminded himself that life is short. Ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Most family arguments fail this test. Peace is often worth more than being right. Fifth, practice empathy without absorption. You can understand someone's pain without carrying it. Dealing with difficult people becomes easier when you see their behavior as a reflection of their inner state, not a verdict on your worth. Over time, something subtle but powerful happens. When you stop reacting, others change or they don't. But either way, you suffer less. Family drama loses its grip because it no longer controls your emotions. This is Stoic resilience. Conflict becomes training, not trauma. Each interaction becomes a chance to practice patience, wisdom, and self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius never promised that life would be easy. He promised that it could be endured with dignity. Ending family fights doesn't mean eliminating disagreement. It means ending the inner war that turns disagreement into suffering. When you master your response, you reclaim your freedom. So the next time tension rises, remember this. You are not required to attend every argument you are invited to. You are not obligated to surrender your peace to emotional chaos. You carry an inner citadel that no one can invade without your consent. Which phrase will you try first?